bud?
You look like white trash out there on a
I am
freaking
white
lawn.
trash. I am
Freaking
white
lawn.
trash. I am
Freaking
white
lawn.
trash.
Hello, everybody. I am here today with what we believe to be the youngest youth minister in all of the state of Michigan. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. Would you like to start us off by just telling us about yourself?
Hello, I'm Steven, originally from Canton, Michigan, so about an hour from here. I am the director of youth ministry and confirmation for St. Thomas Aquinas, which is the largest parish in the Diocese of Lansing. No big deal. But also I volunteer at St. John's. Used to lead a small group Bible study, and then I do one-on-one discipleship with other college students, mentoring them in their faith journey. Some things about me: I enjoy knitting. That's one of my big passions.
What's the coolest thing you've ever knit?
I knit this cool blanket for my aunt, and it was like all this patchwork, and I worked on it with my grandma and my cousin. So there's a bunch of different colors and squares, and then we all fit it together at the end. It was pretty cool. And then I also play music. So this summer I'm working in New Mexico as a musician and historical interpreting actor. So that'll be pretty fun.
That should be a lot of fun. Warmer down there.
Well, yeah, kind of. I'm in the mountains, so not really.
Oh, well, it'll be pretty then.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about what you do with youth ministry, what maybe a normal, I don't know how often you meet, but a normal time, a normal session, whatever you call it, would be.
Yeah, so we meet every Sunday, Sunday afternoon, evening-ish, and it really depends. Usually each semester we have a different theme. Last semester's theme was Scripture, so we focused on the Old Testament and how something written so long ago still has relevance to today, and seeing how passages in the Old Testament point to the coming of Jesus in the New Testament. But right now we're kind of doing a hodgepodge of things. So we've introduced the students to Eucharistic adoration with praise and worship, but also trying to give them a moment where they can truly encounter God. Because so often young people go through life not really knowing what that means. An encounter with God can be so many different things, and I tell them, it could be simple as you're walking down like the river trail on MSC's campus, and it's a beautiful day like this, and you just start to realize that like this is a gift from God. This isn't just man-made, but it's something larger than I am, and that can be an encounter with God. Or it can be something really, really big and impactful like St. Paul. Shot down and blinded for 3 days, and I don't expect these high schoolers to have done that. If they do, I'd really like to know, because that's sweet. But giving them an opportunity to have that encounter with, through prayer ministry, and really seeing Jesus in the Eucharist, in the monstrance. But we also, we just did Stations of the Cross, we're doing the Rosary, learning about the saints. So giving them real-world examples for them to live their life beyond youth group. But also just creating a space where it's fun. We play games all the time, so that way they have people that they realize that oh, these people are Catholic and they're proud to show their faith, but they're also cool, like me.
Like you.
Exactly.
Coolest youth minister in the state of Michigan, at least.
Your words, not mine.
So these students, what ages?
I work with, so for youth ministry, I work with high schoolers, and then for confirmation, I work starting 8th grade through seniors. And then if you're an adult, you meet with Josh Hamilton, and he's the adult faith formation director, so confirmation goes throughout.
For the East Lansing Parish?
Yes.
Cool. So where are these students, where do you often encounter them on their faith story?
It's really a mix. So I have students that are on fire for their faith, and they're they're involved in other ministries outside of youth ministry. So one of my students just played the organ at St. Thomas for Mass, and he's truly on fire for his faith. He's very knowledgeable, and so was his sister when I was an intern there. But then there are some people that aren't as far along, and they're there for confirmation, because one of the things for confirmation is we want you to be involved in the life of the parish, and that doesn't have to be through youth ministry. It can be things like music ministry, altar serving, anything like that, but youth ministry is probably the easiest one for a high schooler to do. And so they don't know how to pray, they don't know what their faith journey looks like from there, but it's a space where everyone's welcome, and it's not an intimidating space, and we break off into small groups, and we do it based on like where they're at in their faith journey. So the people that are more advanced, they can dive deeper, but they're also not intimidating the people that are just starting out. Like when I was in high school, I was just starting on my faith journey, and I really didn't know how to pray all throughout high school. I never really had an encounter with God until I came to college. So giving them an opportunity through small groups is really important.
Absolutely. Be able to provide a witness for them, bring them into the faith. Now, did you went to youth ministry when you were...
Yes, I've been in youth ministry since I was in middle school. So I went through religious ed, and then on top of religious ed, I did youth ministry, and then I worked for the Archdiocese of Detroit on their youth council as well.
Class A celebrity, ladies and gentlemen, right here. So then, how would you say your time in youth ministry growing up affected your ministry now?
Yeah, a good question. I would say there's like two types of youth groups.
Okay.
There's the fun youth group.
Is that yours?
I'll get to that.
All right.
There's the fun youth group, and then there's the religious ed youth group. I went to a fun youth group.
Yeah.
So we played games all the time. We hung out. Like, our middle school youth group was when we would do like the structured things, and then high school youth group, it was just a space for students to come. We would do our homework together. It was just a space to build community, but we didn't really do much with Jesus. Like, he was always there and present, because we were at a church and we would pray before and afterwards, and sometimes we do like Bible Jeopardy, Bible trivia, all that stuff, trying to bring scripture in. But it was just a space for us to be there and be present in a community, which is really important. But on the flip side, there's the religious ed youth group, where there's a lack of community. So students go there and they think it's religious ed class, but youth group, in my opinion, is different than religious ed. Youth group is supposed to be a space where you can combine the fun aspects of life with learning about Jesus and learning about your own faith. So I've hopefully combined the two, so we are able to do a mixture of the fun while also still learning about Jesus and still learning about prayer and all that stuff. So hopefully I've done a good job at combining the two.
Jury's still out.
Jury's still out on that one. This is my first year doing it, so we'll see. But it's a really tricky balance, because I sent out a survey at the end of the first semester, and I was like, what did you like best? What did you like least? 50% of them said, I loved all the games that we do. 50% of them said, I love all the Bible stuff.
Oh, well.
And I was like, great. This helps me. Add nothing at all. I can't figure
Do
it out.
both perfectly at the same time.
Exactly, and that's what I'm trying to go for.
Do you have any funny stories or embarrassing moments so far with your youth ministry?
Embarrassing moments? I constantly embarrass myself. But I'd say
Well, I mean, besides your normal life.
Okay. In youth ministry. Well, when I first started, we were doing scripture, and so I was trying to give them an overview of the Bible. Mm-hmm. And one of the things about me is my faith is very experience. It's based on my experiences. So I don't know all the apologetics. I don't know all of the theology behind things. But honestly, no one knows all the theology. But I know less than a normal person who has a degree in theology would have. Because I don't have a degree in theology.
It makes sense.
Exactly. And I Googled, I was like, overview of the Bible. I found this PDF, okay? And I was like, perfect. It gives me all the answers, but these answers were so wrong. I was like, there are 75 books in the Bible. There are not 75 books in the Bible. It's about 73, 72, and I don't remember which one it is, but I was still way off, and then all the kids pointed it out at me, and I was like, you know what? We're human, okay? I'm not perfect. And then, but one of the funniest things that students have done, sometimes students like to be overambitious. So each semester we create prayer goals, and we do them throughout the semester. But one student, when I was an intern, he was in my small group, and he was like, you know what, Steven, I'm gonna pray for an hour every single day. And I was like, wow, that's like bold move there. Like, I don't even do that. I know I encourage people to like start small. Even if you're like more experienced in your faith, still start small, because you want to build a solid foundation in order to build upon that. And I was like, okay, like you can go for it, but I will warn you that you might burn out. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna. Next week comes back, he did it. He prayed every day for an hour.
That's
and I was like,
impressive.
okay, but this means you have to keep it up. Like, you can't just like stop. And he's like, okay, I'll keep doing it. Next week comes back and he goes, Steven, I didn't pray a single day. And I was like, so, okay, so what I told you came true. Don't call me a prophet. But
A prophet, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, priest, prophet, and king, you're baptized. And
A1 celebrity.
I told him, okay, let's start with like maybe 10 minutes. And he was like, yeah, I can manage that. And so he did. But another story, actually, this past Sunday, we were doing Stations of the Cross. And so I built this huge contraption, shadow acting contraption for the students to act the Stations of the Cross out. And the 12th station, Jesus dies on the cross. So we had one girl like kneeling at the foot of the cross as she was Mary, and then I had another person who was supposed to be kneeling as if he were one of the apostles. He was rather tall, and so the screen wasn't that tall. I built it for like the majority of heights of high schoolers, so it was shorter than I was, but this kid was about the same height as I am, and so he's kneeling, and so I told him to like get low. So he got a little too low, and it looked like a rock. So you win some, you lose some.
Rocks there.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. And then the other thing, I forgot like to make a tomb for this thing. So what I ended up doing is I had a beanbag in my office, like a beanbag chair, and I put it on a chair and push it really close, and it actually looked like a tomb. When I was in high school, we would do these things. We would just have someone curled up in a ball, and it would be the tomb, but it'd be a really small tomb. Like, no one could fit in that.
Good times at youth ministry.
Love it.
So, Steven,
Yeah.
I have a very serious question
Oh, boy.
here. Okay, you ready?
Uh-huh.
What is going on with these youths? And what I mean by that is, with these youngins, where are they coming from? What do they struggle with that our very mature older audience wouldn't necessarily understand, and where are they coming from where they're like kicking ass and are going to do way better than the rest of us?
I love how you say you're very mature older audience.
That's right.
Some of us aren't 21, okay?
It's 22.
20. But that's a good question. I would say one of the places where they come a lot stronger than older people is that they're easier to mold, but also they're way more accepting.
Yeah.
So, you go, like, I went to a public school, and, you have every walk of life possible at public school.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got people that are, like, you have your jocks, your nerds, the people that wear tails. You have your, like,
We had a few of those.
Christians,
Yep.
all that thing. And so that's what they're used to. So when a new person walks into youth group, there's pretty much zero judgment from the students. Like, they are so welcoming, but I can see, like, sometimes, like, and I'm, like, I fall victim to this as well. Like, a new person walks into a room, and you're like, you instantly start to judge that person. And to see, like, oh, where did they come from? What do they look like? Oh, they have a nose ring. Yikes.
Yeah, I'm really
Granted,
good at that.
I really wanted a nose ring for a while. Still kind of do. I also want a tattoo, but I haven't figured out what I'm getting
Foot
yet.
tattoo.
Not a foot tattoo, I determined. It would be an arm
Foot
tattoo.
tattoo. No.
Foot tattoo would be kind of cool, but, we'll figure that one out.
What about a neck tattoo?
No, I could not get it. I could get a nice little teardrop. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
But, yeah, so, like, it's, in my belief, like, evangelization comes from a place of acceptance. So not saying that we're better than other people, but, we meet them where they're at. Like, Jesus, when he comes in, Jewish kids, they start, like, school when they're 6, and they're memorizing the first 5 books of the Bible, which, like, legit, like, that's hard.
Yeah.
But at the end, once they go through this whole thing, a rabbi or a teacher, like, would say, like, come and follow me. And but they only do to the best of the best. But Jesus comes and he says to like the tax collectors and the fishermen and like the average Joe, like, come and follow me, something that they had never heard before. And so when you're evangelizing, you meet them where they're at. You don't start the conversation and be like, hi, my name's Steven and I'm better than you. But you're like, hey, what's your name? Like, where do you come from? What's your story?
Yeah.
And so they're really good at that. And they're really good about sharing that and being open with others, which I've noticed, which I was a little hesitant and sketchy to see if they were going to be open to sharing with other people. But they
Yeah.
really are.
That's wonderful.
One of the things I would say they struggle with, and it really depends on the student, but when you first starting off your faith, it's very rudimentary, like everything. Like if you're first starting to learn math, you just start off with basic numbers, which is where I'm at, my Math 101. And so it's hard to like figure out how to teach them like the theology behind why we believe what we believe in. And you know, it's becoming more and more countercultural to be Catholic or to even be Christian.
Yep. Certainly
So
is.
to figure out how to balance like secular life with Catholicism, and like to show that Catholicism is like you can be in the world, but you have to remember you're not of the world.
That guy's so cool. Look at this. Oh, that is so cool.